Fans ship characters, but typically they stop there. Well, today I decided to take it to the next level and see what kind of kids I could create out of our favorite couples. Okay, that sounds a little weird. I mean, I would pair up characters and try to see what their kids would look like. Okay, I think I saved it. We've seen how quirks are passed down to characters, or not passed down. Sometimes a hero might inherit one of their parents' quirks, sometimes they'll get a mashup quirk, and sometimes their quirk might be something completely different. But for this video, I'm specifically looking for mashups. And through the magical power of headcanon, I've come up with some quirks that these hero babies might inherit. So I'll be counting down my favorites. Number one ship of the show, you know I had to do it, Deku and Ochako. Go figure. What do you get when you combine zero gravity with a booster quirk like One for All? A damn good protagonist level baby, that's what you get. When you look at how Ochako uses zero gravity, you can see she only has the ability to make things have zero gravity. She doesn't really have any way to just control how gravity affects an object. So I thought the combo of their two quirks might look a lot like that guy with the particle jutsu in Naruto. Not that I'm biting or anything, but like, come on. You can't tell me that wouldn't work. An ideal version of their combined quirks could result in complete gravity control, meaning they can control the amount of gravity on an object at will. Like, that's pretty cool. So for some reference, with their powers, they could pick up a sheet of paper, then use said sheet of paper to crush someone flat. Or they could just straight up juggle some elephants and then use them to crush someone flat. I feel like they would do a lot of crushing. But on the flip side, what would happen if One for All took center stage over zero gravity? Would this new baby possibly be the strongest hero to ever attend UA? A hero to trump all heroes, one that would triumph over any obstacle, any enemy, no, not at all. They'd actually be pretty strong. All right, so this baby would have super strength like Deku or All Might, right? But they'd also probably have no control over zero gravity. Meaning zero gravity probably would only affect them. So even if they line up a sick Detroit smash, it would feel like a love tap because, you know, you'd be weightless. So welcome to B class, baby Deku. You'd pretty much look like All Might when he first goes up against All for One. Basically, this poor baby is a terrible superhero who would have zero useful combat ability. So sorry to all the to all the Deku and Ochako shippers, okay? There's way too many names. All right, so Deku and Ochako are kind of underdogs in the pro hero world. So what if we combined heroes who came to UA on recommendations? Todoroki and Momo. Momo's creation quirk seems pretty powerful on its own. Sure, Momo has to know exactly how to create the object of her desire, like night vision goggles, but whatever. She can create them nonetheless. So combining creation with an equally OP quirk like Todoroki's half hot and half cold was a bit of a challenge. So for the next quirk, I had to get a little more creative. All right, so Momo has to eat in order to use her quirk to create things. So if she were to hook up with Todoroki, their kid might have to eat spicy things or cold things like ice cream to power up. That's if Todoroki's quirk takes the back seat. But with Todoroki's quirk driving, we might see something a little different. Like, let's say you can still create like Momo, but all of your creations come out either on fire or encased in ice. Pretty much like Todoroki's goofy ass character design from season 1.
Bones, are you serious? He looks like a freaking background character.
So yeah, you can make those night vision goggles, but they'd be like you know, on fire or encased in ice. Hopefully the latter though, so pick your poison. So if we're being real, making s'mores might be this hero's biggest strength. But I'm sure they could find a way to make it work during a fight. Probably. If you're not a Deku Ochako fan, you're probably shipping Dark Shadow and Froppy. I mean, we're all cultured here. Froppy is the best girl, so why not? With these two, you're gonna get an animal no matter what. If Froppy's powers dominate the combo, you'll still look like a frog, but you'll inherit a lot of Dark Shadow's traits. But instead of having a bird-shaped shadow creature inside you, you'd have a frog-shaped shadow creature inside you, which is a sentence I'd never thought I'd have to say. We know that Dark Shadow gets stronger the darker it gets, so Froppy and Tokiyami's kid might get stronger the nearer they are to water. I love the episode where Froppy interned with Selkie on the Oki Mariner, and I think this version of Froppy and Tokiyami's offspring would be Selkie's next sidekick. Absolutely no question. The next pairing is a ship made in heaven. Kaminari and Kyoka. Is there a better combo than Kaminari and Kyoka? Probably, but I'm not talking about them right now. These two techno heroes could really buff each other's quirks. Their techno baby would inherit Kyoka's ear jacks, but they'll probably be more with the times and have USB-C cables or lightning cables, because one, like, that sounds way cooler, and two, well, shout out to Apple. These USB-C cables would allow this hero baby to connect to any electronic device to manipulate it via electricity. It might not make sense, sure, but neither does Kyoka's ability to connect to a wall. Unlike Papa Kaminari, with USB-Cs, this baby would also have finer control over the amount of electricity they emit. The trade-off with techno quirks is how quickly technology evolves. Don't tell Kyoka, but nobody's going to be using headphone jacks in 5 years. So an unlucky babe might have Zune powers, meaning they'll be tied to some already outdated technology, or they might just end up with a quirk that gives them an annoying static shock every once in a while. I'm gonna put quirk genetics aside since I have to pair our underappreciated alien queen with our overly, or adequately, appreciated frog girl, Mina and Froppy. This seems like the easiest combo because we can look to real life examples for this one. What do you get when you mix a frog with acid? Pretty much a poison dark frog. And these tropical cuties have vibrant colors just like their mama, Pinky. So they secrete acid, spit acid, and are basically like a pink xenomorph. But let's say their kid isn't so froggy. What do we get? Something awful. We can assume that she won't inherit Froppy's mutation, but she will probably get Mina's vibrant skin, but green like Froppy. One thing Froppy and Mina have in common is secretion. Is there any word grosser than secretion? Like, I'm pretty sure it's worse than moist, like secretion. Like that's disgusting. Anyway, Froppy secretes sticky frog goop from her skin, and Mina, our acid queen, produces, well, acid. So if you put those two things together, their child might secrete, like, frog pheromones? Yeah, I said it. I went there. How can that be used in battle? Well, she could get biblical and rain some frogs on the battlefield, or get followed around all day by frogs. Either way, a hard pass. In fact, I was already lost on the secretion thing. You know what, since we talking about it, that is really. Before I get to number one, I had a few quirk combos that didn't make the list and earn themselves honorable mentions, as we call them in the biz. So what do you get when you ship the purest bromance of all? It would probably spawn a hero baby with a shrapnel quirk. It's like this pile of dead, exploding skin that's also knives, and there's razor blades and rats everywhere, and it's super crowded, and the metro won't take your bus pass because you're out, but even though you already paid. I think I'm just describing the F train now. If you mix two unsung heroes, Sero, whose quirk is tape, and Sato, Sugar Rush, you get Bubble Tape, which is a delicious but useless quirk. Also, do they still make bubble tape? I really missed that. Pairing up the man with multiple arms and a bad haircut with the most clean-cut student of them all, you get a jet. Like, it's just a jet. Like, imagine yourself at the park as a child pretending to fly around. Like, that's literally their kid, but like for real, and with 3 wings like a triplane. But if Shoji hooked up with Ojiro, their child would have multiple tails, like Tails from Sonic. So I feel like this is pretty universally known, but Mineta should always be alone. But if he managed to land a partner, and if that partner were Bakugo, their offspring would have sticky grenades. Think of the plasma grenades from Halo, but you're ripping them off your scalp. Now, for our number one pairing, I didn't want to miss this hero who can blend into the background. These jokes are progressively getting worse. Of course, I'm talking about our often forgettable invisible girl, Hagakure. If she manages to grab Momo's attention, their quirk combination can result in some really useless kids. Let's say their child inherits Momo's creation. They would be pretty strong and useful right off the bat. But what if all their creations were invisible? They would be able to create just about anything like their mom Momo, but like no one would believe them. Once they convince the world that they weren't full of it and that they totally have a real quirk, they swear, they could potentially be the most useful hero on the battlefield, creating invisible tools, weapons, and traps. But let's take it a step further and say they also inherited Hagakure's invisibility. Not only would their creations be invisible, but they would be too. So you might have noticed I missed the best boys, Deku and Bakugo, and that's because I couldn't think of any combinations that weren't too OP. But I want to hear your thoughts. Make some babies in the comment section below. Adrian, dude, I didn't mean to say, please don't fire me, man. I need this job. Yo, I'll see you on Tuesday, right? And don't forget to click subscribe to join us, the #1 anime club on YouTube. Thanks for watching.